The LinkedIn Podcast Network is sponsored by SAP. Harness the power of AI across your business and achieve results that are relevant, reliable, and responsible with SAP Business AI. Revolutionary technology, real-world results. That's SAP Business AI.
I'm Tomer Cohen, LinkedIn's Chief Product Officer. In my new podcast, Building One, I interview some of the best product builders out there. People at the intersection of dreaming and building and learning. Together, you and I will learn from their experiences. If you're just as curious as I am, follow Building One wherever you listen, and check out the conversation on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn presents.
If we can modulate this kind of out-of-control anxiety response down to more normal levels, we can start to take advantage of the protective core of what our anxiety was meant to do.
Hi, everyone. This is the Next Big Idea Daily, and I'm your host, Michael Kovnat. It's Tuesday, Election Day, and if you haven't already gone out and cast a ballot, I hope you're on your way. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little anxious about the outcome, and I hope it doesn't take too long to get the results. I don't know if I can take it. It might be a while, though, which is why today I wanted to chill out with some big ideas from the book Good Anxiety, Harnessing the Power of the Most Misunderstood Emotion by Wendy Suzuki. Wendy is a professor of neuroscience and psychology at New York University, and her book offers practical tips for turning your worst fears into your greatest strengths. That sounds pretty good right now. Here's Wendy to share some of her big ideas.
Did you know that 90% of Americans raise their hands when asked, "Do you suffer from anxiety?" 90%. I study this, and this statistic really surprised me. I didn't realize it was going to be that high. And that is why building a smart and science-based strategy to combat anxiety is so critical. How exactly can anxiety be good? The answer? Evolutionarily, anxiety and the underlying physiological stress response evolved to protect us from the dangers in this world, and therefore it is critical for our survival. Let me explain exactly how this response is critical and protective. For that, we have to jump back 2.5 million years. Imagine you're a woman gathering berries by the edge of a creek, carrying a sleeping baby. Suddenly, you hear the crack of a twig, and you freeze. What happens there? Your heart rate goes up, your respiration goes up, and all your blood rushes from your digestive and reproductive systems out to your muscles, because in a few seconds, you're either going to fight a big creature that might come at you from the woods, or you're going to run away really, really fast. That is the classic fight or flight response and is underlined by what's called the sympathetic nervous system. We have that exact same response here. Now, going back to the woman, what happens is she sees a lumbering raccoon coming from the direction of that twig that cracked. And suddenly she's able to go back to her calm berry picking, and that stress response goes away. Well, what's different between her and today? That stress response is still there. If there's a threat coming at you, that sympathetic nervous system reacts in exactly the same way. The difference is today, we have literally 24/7 anxiety and stress-related twigs cracking all around us. The news cycle, our Instagram feed, are constant reminders of anxiety-provoking stimulations. And our nervous system can't differentiate between that lion or that bear that might come at us or the possibility of a global new coronavirus variant that's coming at us. So we have high levels of anxiety and stress. If we can modulate this kind of out-of-control anxiety response down to more normal levels, we can start to take advantage of the protective core of what our anxiety was meant to do. How do I turn the volume down on my anxiety? For this, we are going to turn to not the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, but The parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system. This is our relaxation response. And when the woman 2.5 million years ago started gathering berries again, the danger dissipated. Her parasympathetic nervous system kicked in. What happened was her heart rate went down, her respiration went down, and blood started coming back from her muscles towards her digestion and reproductive organs. And so how do you activate that? We need more relaxation response and consciously called relaxation response in our life. And the easiest and fastest way to evoke that consciously is deep breathing. Also, by the way, the most ancient form of meditation. And so what I recommend is a box breathing or 4-part breathing, and we're going to do this together right now. So I invite you all to come and sit up in your chair, put all 4 points of both feet down on the floor, sit up nice and straight, open your chest, and we're going to inhale on 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4 at the bottom. Okay, starting now. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4, hold at the top, 2, 3, 4. Deep exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold at the bottom, 2, 3, 4. I think you can see that even one round of this box breathing can really just bring you back into the moment, bring you back into the body. I know just one round of leading it also changes my voice, changes how I feel, activates that parasympathetic nervous system. It can work, not all the time, but it can work even in the depths of an anxiety attack. So I recommend that you try it out, maybe not when you're anxious, but just get used to that activity and invite yourself to call it up when anxiety is increasing in your life. Now that we're calmed down, learn to appreciate those uncomfortable emotions that come with anxiety and what they can teach us about ourselves. This is really the most surprising thing I learned from the book. And that is, while writing the book, I found myself kind of making friends with my own anxiety. Okay, it's not a warm and cuddly friend. It's more of a prickly friend. But I was making friends because I started to appreciate what those uncomfortable emotions taught me about myself. Let me give you a specific example. One of my oldest anxieties from childhood is social anxiety. I was a very shy young girl, and I was a wallflower in high school, always wanted to join social groups, but having a very, very difficult time. Of course, I learned better strategies as I got older and developed social skills. But fast forward to a very stressful time in my life when I was trying to earn tenure at NYU. And I chose a poor strategy to adapt. I decided to just isolate myself and only work because that was the best way to be as productive as I could be. And while I certainly worked hard, I found myself experiencing really high levels of stress and anxiety. Only later did I realize how powerful reaching out to friends that I had isolated myself from was for me. That social anxiety was a big teacher for me. So while it took some effort to get over that fear, that social anxiety, what I found is how valuable it is and what a buffer it is against anxiety. That is what I mean by leaning into those anxieties and learning from them. What is it teaching you about your values and what helps you most in your life? When you start to lean into your anxiety and unlock it, as I call it, that comes with a set of powerful gifts or superpowers. There's 6 superpowers that I share in the book, but I'd love to share my favorite one here, which is the superpower of empathy. Now, this goes back to that same anxiety in myself, that social anxiety that kept me shy with making friends, but also affected my performance and my interaction in the classroom, being very, very fearful of asking questions and being wrong. And of course, I've gotten over that as I became a teacher and had to become a public speaker, which was very, very scary at first, but I really enjoyed it. And I found myself as a teacher now. I realized that because of my own experience as a shy, socially awkward student, that in my own teaching, I realized that I was unconsciously reaching out to all those students that were just like me. How did I do that? Well, of course, I enjoy all my Hermione Grangers in my classroom that love to ask questions and comment on anything that we're talking about. But I know there's even more students that were just like me and a little shy and hesitant to interact in front of the whole classroom. So what I've always found myself doing is making sure that there was plenty of time that students could interact with me more casually before class, after class, during office hours, because I wanted to interact and talk to as many students as possible to make sure that they had a chance to tell me what they learned, to tell me what interested them in the classroom, because I know how satisfying that is as a student, and I know how that feels as a shy, socially anxious student. So that social anxiety became one of my biggest gifts as a teacher, that is empathy for those shy students in my classroom. So my challenge for you is that you examine your oldest anxiety and ask yourself, how can you turn that around and make that into an empathy gift that you give the rest of the world?
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, listeners, go out and vote, then get yourself a copy of Good Anxiety at your favorite bookstore. Whatever happens, we're all going to need to maintain our mental health. For more big ideas on psychology, politics, and everything else, head on over to your app store and download the Next Big Idea app. I'm Michael Kovnat. See you tomorrow.